There was some overlap a little bit with what I had and with what Dr. Horton had, but that's okay. We can just go through it a little bit more. So we're going to talk about facilities and safety and facility safety. So the first thing I wanted to share with you was this document, and Dr. Horton did mention it. This is from Adventist Risk Management. It is a school self-inspection form. And I did ask Nicole to email it to you all. You can also find this on the Adventist Risk Management website. This form, I ask my new principals to do this, and then periodically every few years, I ask all my principals to do this. This form gives you a lot of information. It tells you, it helps you become familiar with your facility so you know where everything is at, you know where your fuse boxes are, you know where your water main is to shut it off when that pipe bursts or when that toilet will not quit leaking. And this just helps you really become familiar with your facility. It is in the NAD or the Lake Union Code that the principals are kind of the ones who have to ensure that the plant is maintained and upgraded and has what it needs. So that doesn't mean that you are the one that has to go fix the plumbing, but it does mean that you need to be aware of what is going on in your building so that you can pass it along to the right people. It would be very wise if you recommended somebody or had somebody on your school board that you know who to go to. They're the ones that, well, you can call when a window breaks or when something is not working correctly so that you can help keep the board aware so that you know your facility. All right, so this form, I'm going to stop this share and pull up a PowerPoint that I also have. So give me 1 second here. Hold on, it's never wants to work when you want it to. Let's try this again. There we go. All right. Thank you. So here's the NAD code. It's actually found in 1402-11, and it's D5 that says that among the major responsibilities of the principal is to serve as the agent of the school board in equipping and maintaining the school plant. So spend a little time getting to know your facility. It will only benefit you. Adventist Risk Management is where you can find that school inspection form. They also have emergency preparedness plans. You need to have that, develop that as well. You should have a flip chart that has come to your school from the Lake Union. If you're not finding that, please reach out to Dr. Horton or your superintendent so you can find that emergency preparedness plan that they have already prepared for us. Make sure you have an updated emergency contact list, that you know your pastor's phone number, your head deacon phone number, your school board chair, anyone that you may need to contact in time of an emergency. You also need to know where to go if something happens to your facility. When I was principal, I walked in one morning and suddenly I'm smelling gas. I'm like, what's going on? What do we do? And we had to evacuate. The before care was already there. We had to evacuate. We had to go kind of across the way, just as where I lived. The fire department came, but we had to have a place to go. And so that needs to be outlined in a policy. You need to know your procedures and you need to practice your drills. Each of your teachers should have first aid kits and contact lists that anytime they leave the facility, even to go outside for recess, they should be bringing this with them just in case something happens and they're not able to go back inside. And this is the website to Adventist Risk Management. There are safety resources. There are school safety resources here. Spend some time in their webinars. There's a lot of amazing webinars that they have for us. And that also counts as professional development. So you can mark it on your form and get CEUs for watching these webinars. You should have a locked door policy. It's your job as principal to know who is in your building at all times. Your facility should be locked. There should not be a point of entry where anybody can just walk in or walk out. You should have a policy that no student ever answer the door, even if it's grandma, even if it's pastor or another teacher. The policy should be that no student goes to the door, no student ever answers the door. Door cameras are no longer very expensive. It's a very good investment. The Ring cameras, where they ring the bell and you can see it on your phone, you know who's there before you go to the door. That just helps keep you safe and your students safe. Create a visitor policy for church members, volunteers, or parents, for anyone visiting the school. I brought it up to my church board and I said, I know, so-and-so has to come in and clean, and so-and-so has to come in and prepare for Pathfinders or prepare for Sabbath school. But when they come in, they should all be background checked and fingerprinted if they're coming in the facility at all. But when they come in, they need to be checking in at the office, because if a stranger walks by and Johnny goes home and says, Mommy, there was a strange man at the school, they're calling you, and you need to know who that person was. Maybe it was just the head deacon looking at the toilet, right? But if you don't know that, then you can't communicate that to the parents. So make sure you know and you're aware of anyone who's in the building at any time. You should have a student pickup policy, a designated area to pick students up, have your student authorized pickup list. You're new, you need to ID the families you don't know. You need to have that list and ID them to make sure that who they're riding home with is an appropriate person for them to leave with. Make sure you assign a faculty member to the pickup duty daily. Kids should not just be running out the door without somebody knowing who they are going home with. Custody issues. Dr. Horton touched on this a little bit as well. We have to follow court orders. If the parents don't provide a court order, then both parents have equal rights to their students. Do not get involved yourselves. Don't involve yourselves in the custody suits. I recommend to my teachers, if you're subpoenaed, that you call the conference immediately, talk to your superintendent. We have legal counsel to help you so that you are not put into the situation where you're uncomfortable with a family custody issue. Your drills, you should have 1 per month or 10 a year. You should have 3 fire drills. 1 done with your local fire department. You need to call them and they need to come over and monitor your fire drill. 1 earthquake, 2 tornado, 2 lockdown drills, and one of them should include your local law enforcement. It's a federal law. I believe it's a federal law now that the local law enforcement be involved in lockdown drills for schools. Most police departments are very good at knowing how to handle students to make it not be a scary situation, but it is very important that we are prepared if an emergency ever arises. So a couple other things to think about your playground. Think about, the safety outside. Is your area fenced? Are there strangers coming on your facility? How are you handling that? Do you have signage posted that says no trespassing or private property? As a principal, we do have the not fun duty of going and saying, we're having school is in session right now, so we need you to not be on our playground while school is in session. And it's not a fun job, but it does have to be done at certain points. Make sure that under your playground, under your swing sets, under your slide areas, that you've got the playground mulch or rubber. You can Google what's appropriate, what is legal for playgrounds. There's playground mulch, there's different tire rubber things that can go down. It can be very cheap or it can be very expensive, but it is a requirement. And when the accreditation team comes, that's one thing they will be looking for, is that you have the appropriate amount of mulch underneath your playground. All right. Remember when you're in the classrooms or if anyone is working one-on-one with a student, the door should remain open or the blinds should be open. You should try to avoid a situation if at all possible to ever be one-on-one with a student. If it is necessary, make sure that you are visual. You want to protect yourself as well as the kids. If you are a single teacher in a school, there might be some situations where you're one-on-one in the school, but as much as possible, you want to protect yourself from that and what could come, some of those things that could come from that as well. I think that's about all I wanted to mention, and I think I'm all done. Thank you.